Welcome back, children. So I'll explain PBR 322, its structure. Now look at the structure. Here we can see starting from hint 3 H. Now we not tell it as hint 3, we'll call it as HIND tree, and remaining all those from starting from hint 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, totally all those things, hint 3, BAM H1, SAL1, PVUW, PST1, PVU1, ECO R1, CLA1, all those 8 we can call it as restriction sites. Clear, children? These are, we can call it as restriction sites. So this will contain, these restriction sites will be used to cut with the help of the same restriction enzymes. That is the meaning behind. And here inside the small circle we can able to see, okay, two genes, okay, that we can call it as AMP, ampicillin resistant gene, and in the side tetracycline resistant gene, and ORI, origin of replication, or regulatory genes meant for replication. ROP, it is meant for a protein of replication. It is meant for protein of replication. Is it clear, children? Now all are surrounded by restriction site. Inside means it is not present inside. Even the BAMH1, when we cut this restriction site, obviously this tetracycline resistant gene also will be removed. Why? The tetracycline resistant gene is located in the BAMH1 restriction site only. For your understanding, it was given inside and outside. We know plasmid is extra chromosomal DNA with circular. So this all those circle will contains genes and some of the restriction sites. Clear, children? So when we cut BAMH1 enzymes with that restriction site, obviously tetracycline resistant gene also will be removed. Is that clear? This is the structure of PBR 322, and I already gave explanation about PBR 322. Technically also I gave explanation for AMP, tetra, origin of replication, ORI, ROP, a protein of replication. And here we can call ampicillin resistant gene or tetracycline resistant gene as selectable markers. At least we'll have 1 or 2, that is only maximum. So beyond that we should not add more antibiotic resistant gene. That is a problem only. We can't able to find out at the end of the process. We can't able to screen, or we can't able to harbor our desired recombinant DNA at the end of the gene cloning. And here in this PBR 322 it was given antibiotic resistant gene, both also antibiotic resistant gene. And if not, we'll go for enzyme producing gene also. Here both ampicillin and tetracycline both are also antibiotic resistant gene. If not, we can go for enzyme producing gene. What I have explained, LAC-Z. Okay, LAC-Z is a gene. Okay, LAC-Z is a gene. Okay, what enzyme it will produce? It will produce beta galactosidase. So either we can use ampicillin resistant gene, tetracycline gene, one category as antibiotic resistant gene, or we'll go for enzyme producing gene like LAC-Z gene, which can able to synthesize beta galactosidase enzyme. So we can use either of two selectable markers. What is the purpose of choosing selectable markers? To screen recombinant DNA at the end of the gene cloning. Clear, children? Now look at the slide. Point I'll explain. So in alien DNA is ligated. Okay, alien DNA is ligated. Ligated means joined at BAMH1. BAMH1 is the restriction site. So we used BAMH1 enzyme to cut over that site. And normally what I told, if we cut that H1, BAM H1, tetracycline resistant gene recombinant DNA lose its resistance against tetracycline. So normally this recombinant won't have any tetracycline resistant power. Why? We cutted over the restriction site of BAM H1. So tetracycline resistant gene is present over there. So we remove. So this PBR320 containing desired gene won't have a tetracycline resistant gene. Is it clear? Okay. Next, transformants. What is transformants? A plasmid containing recombinant DNA. A plasmid or a vector containing recombinant DNA, we can call it as transformants. Can be selected from non-transformants plating bacteria on. What do you mean by plating bacteria? Normally we used to grow bacteria in a Petri plates. That's why we are called it as plating bacteria on ampicillin containing medium. Bacteria grows. Why? Because this vector containing recombinant DNA possesses ampicillin resistant gene, so it can be able to, suppose when we add ampicillin antibiotic to one Petri plate, and automatically these bacteria will grow. The growth of the bacterium won't stop. Why? Already the PBR322 is having antibiotic resistant gene, that is ampicillin resistant gene, so it can be able to grow even when we spray antibiotics like ampicillin. Okay, next come to that second point. When transformants growing in ampicillin transfers to tetracycline medium, transformants cannot grow. Why? We remove tetracycline. So this PBR322 containing recombinant DNA is no tetracycline resistant gene. So when we add this culture into tetracycline containing medium, it fails to grow. Why? More antibiotic is there, automatically they don't have tetracycline resistant power, so they'll fail to grow in that medium. And non-recombinants grow. This is very, very important. One question they have asked this one. Why? Ampicillin resistant gene can grow into a ampicillin medium, but it won't grow into a tetracycline medium. Clear? Next, imagine if one plasmid doesn't contain any ampicillic resistant gene or no tetracycline resistant gene. These two will call it as non-recombinants. They will grow in medium. Why? Because due to genes gets inactivated. Non-recombinants will grow on the medium because containing both the antibiotics. Clear, children? So when we remove tetracycline, the PBR322 recombinant DNA won't grow in the tetracycline containing medium. But imagine if we are using non-recombinant without any gene, means both the antibiotic resistant genes will be in the plasmid only. So this plasmid containing bacterium will grow in both ampicillin and tetracycline containing medium. Why? No genes were removed. No tetracycline or no ampicillin were removed. So it is not a recombinant. So it will grow on the medium. So one question they have asked this one. So they ask a reason why it is growing in ampicillin, why not in tetracycline? One question. Second question, the plasmid, non-recombinant plasmid can able to grow in both the medium. Why? Why? It is because the plasmid is a non-recombinant, means the tetracycline is not removed. Tetracycline resistant gene is not removed, or vice versa. So automatically it will contain both resistant genes, so it can able to grow on the medium. Is that clear? Next. So we'll quickly go through selection of recombinants due to inactivation of antibiotics, and it is cumbersome process. Selection of recombinants due Inactivation of antibiotics, it is a cumbersome process due to simultaneous planting on two different antibiotics. Imagine, suppose if we didn't select any selectable markers like antibiotic resistant gene, like ampicillin or tetracycline, automatically the gene cloning is a cumbersome process. It is a very difficult process to screen whether these recombinant DNAs are, whether the bacterium is containing recombinant DNA or not. Is that clear? Here, why we are telling it is very heavy process? If it is having that only, we can able to predict whether the bacterium is possessing these character or not. If no markers means we can't able to predict. So that's the thing we call it as cumbersome process. It is a very difficult process. It is an adjective word. Alternative selectable markers developed. So I told there are two methods. Either we'll go for antibiotic resistant gene or we'll go for enzyme producing gene. That is, I have clearly explained. LAC-Z gene beta galactosidase. That is the process it was given. So when we didn't add this desired DNA, the plasmid containing bacterium will be in a blue color in the culture Petri plate. When we added foreign DNA, this because of insertional, the LAC-Z gene become inactive. That is only we call it as insertional inactivation. What we are adding? We are adding our gene of interest. Because of that, which is inactivated? Your LAC-Z gene is inactivated. LAC-Z gene is inactivated. Because of that, they can't able to synthesize beta galactosidase. So no blue color. From that, we can able to screen our gene of screen our recombinant. Is that clear, children? Next, we'll move on to the next one. So vectors for cloning genes in plants and animals too. So we learned the bacteria and viruses. Bacteria, Escherichia coli, virus, one such example. Bacteriophage, lambda virus alone we saw. Apart from that, we can use other vectors for cloning genes in plants and animals too. Come to that, we'll see. Bacteria and virus transform eukaryotic cell by delivering genes. Bacteria and virus transform eukaryotic cell by delivering genes. Bacteria and virus, they transform eukaryotic cell by delivering genes. Clear, children? And here you want to remember transformation either in prokaryotes or we can send it to eukaryotes also. Prokaryote means most probably will go for Escherichia coli. We can able to transfer in eukaryotes also. If it is a eukaryotes, will tell plants one category, animals one category, and fungi. If it is a fungi, which is most preferable means a single cellular fungi, yeast. Clear? So these two is most preferable for your gene transfer. Act as a host. Clear, children? So here, what you want to remember? Under prokaryotes will always prefer Escherichia coli. Under eukaryotes, some of the plant cells, some of the animal cells, most probably a fungi, that too yeast. So bacteria and virus transform eukaryotic cell by delivering genes only. So we'll see only one example. Agrobacterium tumefaciens. So this Agrobacterium tumefaciens is a bacterium and this will cause disease to dicot plants. So we can call this bacterium as pathogen. Those who cause disease, we can call it as pathogen. So Agrobacterium tumefaciens is a bacterium will cause disease in dicot plants. And it normally what it will do, how it will cause disease means it used to deliver a DNA piece that we can call it as tDNA. What is tDNA? A tumor inducing plasmid DNA. And it transforms normal cell into tumor cells which produces chemicals required by the pathogen. So here you want to remember the mechanism how this Agrobacterium tumefaciens affect dicot plants. It is a bacterium. When it's invade the dicot plants, automatically it will change normal cells into tumor cells. So these tumor cells, it started to produce chemicals which is favorable for the pathogen. So like this way it will affect some of the dicot plants. So this we can use it for this character, we are going to use it for biotechnology. And second category, retrovirus. This virus normally it will affect some animal cells, and that when it affects animal cells, it will change a normal cells into a cancerous cells. So these two characteristic of bacterium and virus we are going to use in biotechnology. How? Now look at the slide. An understanding of mechanism of delivering genes by pathogens to their host can help to understand the tools of pathogen can be used to deliver genes to interest in human. So what plasmid is? T plasmid, that is tumor inducing plasmid of Agrobacterium tumefaciens we are selected and we made into a cloning vector. So now we changed, they deleted the harmful part of that plasmid. So automatically that is non-pathogenic to plants and have the ability to deliver genes of interest to a variety of plants. So because we know when we add a gene of interest into the type plasmid of Agrobacterium tumefaciens, and this type plasmid carrying our gene of interest, when we add it into any kind of plants, it started to multiply in that plants with our desired characters. Next, retrovirus. It is disarmed, it is not harmful, deliver genes of interest in animals. When gene of interest is ligated, joined to a suitable vector, transferred into suitable host. So now we finished vector part only, how the vector, what are the characteristics and how the ligation. And now only we want to see how it will enter into a bacteria or plant or animal for multiplication. Is that clear? Next we'll move on to, this will be very, very interesting to see the structure. Now this is the Agrobacterium tumefaciens, is a bacterium. So it is extra chromosomal DNA. This is your plasmid. This is, we can call it as type plasmid. What do you mean by that? Tumor inducing plasmid. So this tumor inducing plasmid, a very particular part is tDNA. So that is only we can call it as our restriction site, because we are going to cut that only. In that place only we are going to add our gene of interest. So insertion of DNA containing gene of desired trait, or trait character might be anything. We'll take some of gene of interest in different plants. Insertion of genes into plasmid using restriction enzyme and so what I told, it is we are removing the tDNA, that is our restriction site. So we removed that, we added our gene of interest and we introduced into plant cell automatically tDNA carrying new genes within plant chromosomes. So now we introduced into the genome system, okay, and this started to multiply and the regeneration of plants, and it will have with new character. So that what we want to add, we'll add, we added with the plasmid, and we are not adding into the, we are not introducing into the Escherichia coli, instead directly we are adding, we are introducing into the plant, where the plant will started to, plant chromosomes will started to divide and you will get a new trait containing plants. Is that clear? So next we'll move on to, so how it will function, how viral DNA will function. Animal vector, retrovirus, example is your retrovirus. So I already told, if it is a virus, it will leave its capsid. This is the capsid. Okay, spike protein, like coronavirus only, spike protein, all or spike protein, that is we can call it as a capsid. So capsids will be in the outer layer of the host cell. Only like injection, only the nucleic acid alone will get into the host cell. And here I told you, it is a retrovirus. So retrovirus is a virus alone. How viral DNA, viral RNA or DNA, they'll undergo reverse transcriptation and they started to produce complementary DNA, and this complementary DNA will join with the host cell nucleus and they will form. Now after joining, the host cell will give commands of the viral DNA proteins, how to synthesize viral DNA protein. So normally from that complementary DNA again messenger RNA were produced and transcriptions will be and translation will be. So automatically you can see the multiplication of the RNA genome for the next viral generation. Here you want to understand one clear concept. If it is a RNA, it will go for reverse transcription process, and it was done with reverse transcriptase enzyme. Clear, children? If it is a DNA, it is not a problem. It will mix with a host DNA. If it is a RNA, so it will go to reverse transcriptation. So you will get a RNA to, you will get what? Complementary DNA, cDNA. So you will get a cDNA. This cDNA will mix with the nucleus chromosome of the host cell, and after blending, now it started to give commands, and it will form a messenger RNA. This messenger RNA will form protein of virus. First nucleic acid will be formed. Okay, first nucleic acid will be formed. This is the nucleic acid. Afterwards only we can see the formation of protein code. Afterwards, this your viral DNA, it will escape from your host cell. Here again, two part, lytic and lysogenic. Okay, if sometime the host cell will die, afterwards the viral DNA will come out, and sometime the host won't die. Through micropores, through tiny pores, the viral particles will come out. So this is the example for retrovirus in animals. So here our DNA should enter cell to the transform cells, but DNA cannot enter cell in a medium without treatment. Because DNA, we know it is a negatively charged, that too it is a hydrophilic. So host should be made competent to take up DNA as a vector. So this I will explain in next video. Thank you.